Hi folks, this is Rose from Rose's Garden, and I have had a request from one of my viewers to make some hair barrettes. So today we're going to do so. But I have to warn you, you do these in parts. You can't just do everything all at once. If you're going to paint it, you need to do the painting and let it dry. Spray it. If you're going to seal it, I do mine with either Krylon or Rust-Oleum clear, and I do seal mine usually. So then we have to wait for that to dry before we can even start putting things together. So let's turn down and we'll look at some stuff. First thing I do when I'm getting ready to paint is I put down this silicone mat. Now it says that these will rub off, and it probably will if I really wanted to work at it, but I don't feel like it. If you get it when it's still wet though, it will rub off almost instantly, as well as glue and such as that. But this protects your regular mat and you don't have to worry about getting things on it. Here's some pieces. These are already painted, so I brought those out in case I wanted to use them in one of the barrettes we're going to make. So I'm just going to put those aside. See those? And in case we need them. This bumblebee we're going to use. So the first, I'm going to use two different types of paint here. I've got a pin. This one was given to me by my daughter for Christmas, but I do have a package of those. Oops, turned a light off accidentally. These are my pins. I got these from Amazon. Star metallic color. Now I will tell you that if you're going to buy pins, you want to find one that says it will write on metal. So this doesn't seem to say so here, but it did say so in the on the actual website. So, and it does, because I use it all the time. So I think these were actually made for rock painting, and rock painting pins work really well for these. So this baby is going to get black, and I'm going to put black on its head and its antenna, its legs. And since bees have stripes, we're going to do some little stripes in here as well. Okay, so there is our bumblebee, our bee's black on it. Now I will warn you that a lot of the pins and such that you find will not have yellow, which I thought was really weird. So I'm going to use a regular paint. This is yellow pink, they call it. Interesting coloration, but for these of course you will need paint brushes, and so I am going to get one out, the little paintbrush here, and we will. Now this is, I just ordered this yellow. Like I said, I've been having trouble finding yellows, but I got this one. I ordered this one from Dry Gulch Enterprises, and we'll see how the yellow works on this little guy. And I just got some on my leg, so I will probably want to repaint that. I use a number of different types of paint. I also have paint from patina paints, of course. don't know of many jewelry makers who don't have some patina paints. Now, as I said, you don't need to paint your pieces. This is just, I just have fun doing it, and it makes for a nice piece. But you can do it without. There was once upon a time before I started painting, but I didn't paint any of my pieces. So there's our bumblebee. So we'll set him aside to dry, and we'll go clean our paintbrush. And we'll find some other things that we need to paint, because, well, we do. Never fails. Because, for one thing, the background for our bumblebee is going to be a nice filigree piece, which I am probably going to add some green and possibly blue too. And let's get some of these other pieces out. One of the other pieces I want to use is this filigree piece. He's going to go behind him. But this one I'm going to paint with my greens, my flowers, blue. So just paint these with our paint pens. Now the easiest pieces to pins to work with, or paints, are the paint pens. They are much more manageable than a lot of other things. So if you're just starting out and you want to paint your pieces, you probably do want to get paint pins. So here's our dark green. Put on our light green. There we go. And I think we're going to put blue flowers with our honeybees. So we are going to just make these flowers in here on the filigree piece be blue as well. Now, I advise you to have a paper towel near at hand. You will inevitably get some of the paint on your fingers. Okay, there's that piece done. So now we just have to let them dry, and then we'll spray them. See, the honeybee will sit on there like this. And we're going to make this into a large hairbread, I think. So let's let these dry for a while. Then we're going to spray them, and then they have to dry again before we can come and work on them some more. So let's just get these aside and drying. And we'll be back in a bit. Bye-bye. Okay, now that we have painted our pieces, let them dry, and then sprayed them with Krylon, and then again let them dry, they are ready to be put into our hairbread. So the first thing we're going to need is a large hairbread blank. This is our blank. It's a French hairbread. Then we're going to need our 2 pieces we painted. And I'm also going to put these little silver pieces underneath here to complete our hairbread sizing. Now, this one filigree piece will fit all the way across, but you can see the ends, and I think it looks a little tacky, so I always add a little bit of something in the end. Then we're going to add some dress it up buttons to spice this baby up, and that is why I painted our little flowers blue, so they would match our buttons we're going to use. So then it's going to be look about like this when we're finished. So the first thing we want to do is get out our E6000. Technically, no, that's not the first thing we want to do. We want to put all these little pieces that are going to go on the top aside for right now, and we're going to get out our bracelet bender. Yeah, this is a bracelet bender, not a piece of hairbread bender, but that's what I like to use it for. So we'll take our blank, our little pieces, and we're going to bend them with our bracelet bender just a little bit. So you see it's just a tiny bit. But then let's test and see if that's going to fit nicely down here. And as you can see, when you put it like this and look down, there's no gap. And that's what we want, no gap. So this is ready to go, this little piece right here. It'll go this way. Then we'll do the same with the other side, bending it down with our bracelet bender so it has a slight bow in it. Come on, baby, come out of there. And then again, we'll test to see how it fits on the blank. So we'll put it about where we want it on this side. Flip it over, hold it down, and look, and that's good too. So we're right here, this side and this side. Next is, of course, our big piece. And as you can see, it's going to have to bend a bit. So we'll take our bracelet bender again, and we'll bend all along the one side, flip it, go all along the other side. Now I'm going to tell you, you're going to bend it backwards some. You've already got a pretty good size bend, and it's probably too big of a bend, and it's better too big than not enough. So then we put our piece in here. As you can see, it will come most of the way. And actually it doesn't need bent too much. It looks like it's fitting pretty good. So that's good. Might straighten her just a hair. Let's see how we're going. Yeah, there we go. Now, is our bee going to be needing some bending as well? Actually, he's sitting down on there pretty good. This wing is up a little bit, so we might take and bend it just a hair. Now be careful, because these small pieces sometimes will break if you're not careful with them. So now that we've got this baby, he's going to sit right here. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So, there's no sense in doing the flowers, they won't bend. So the next thing we need, we'll just put our bender pliers away, is our E6000. I always use E6000 because it's nice and flexible when it dries, and it dries clear. So that's always a really good thing. So just take your glue and put it all along the main piece here. And my tube is getting close to being empty, so it's going to give me a few problems. You want to be pretty generous because you don't want it to unclamp. Just shove it in. Okay, now the first thing we'll put on is our little silver pieces. Come back up here on either end. Now, as you know, it's going to overlap some, this big piece, so we want to put glue in where it's going to overlap as well, because even though some of the glue will come through our filigree pieces, you want to make sure you have plenty. So, and yes, sometimes you get too much and then you'll have to take it off, but it will pull off relatively easily if you do it like about a half hour after you've got the regular pieces in. Okay, that laid it down before I was ready for it too. Okay. Now just ease it into place. Then we'll flip it over after we get it in place to make sure it's in the right place. That's looking pretty good. So then we take some tiny clothespins. I get these at either Dollar Tree or Walmart. They're just a tiny little clothespin. And then we're going to clothespin this baby down. As you can see, I'm getting glue on my fingers, which already has paint on them. So I tend to keep a paper towel close by so that I can rub my fingers off on them. Okay, let's see how we're doing over here. Okay. Ease it to the position you want it. Then again, get some more of the little clothespins and close up this side. Now, in all likelihood, you may need to even put some clothespins on your base piece. Now, I'm going to put my bee on right now, even though I could wait for a while, but it's going to sit right here and there's no clothespin there, so we'll just put it in place. So you want to get glue pretty heavily on this because it doesn't have any really defined edges. They're just really easy. So you want your glue pretty thick so that even if it just fills in that hole there, it's going to drip down to the body of your hair barrette and hold it in place. Now you want to get some everywhere it might touch, so you want to get on your little legs, your little antennae, it looks like it's a good thing I bought a new thing of glue today. Okay, once you've got that done to your satisfaction, turn him over and drop him in to where you want him to sit at. I want mine right about in the middle, so he's going to sit right here. And I think I got him over a little further than I wanted, so we'll push him back into place better. There we go. And now before we put anything else on, well, we could probably put the big blue flowers on because they're going to sit right here. So let's go ahead and put those on as well. And that's just the same way, just add glue to the back. And just plop it into place. Push it down. We'll do the same on the other side. Now because we have the clothespins holding down our either end, we're not going to be able to put the little tiny ones in yet. It's like we want him adjusted just a bit. Okay. So since we can't put the little tiny ones in until we dry some, we're going to take about a 15-20 minute break. Now you need at least that time to let these dry up some. Half hour is better yet. Okay, we've let it dry about 15 minutes, so we're going to take our little clothespins off and we're going to check to see, yeah, it's pretty sturdy. So this one's still a little bit wiggly, but that's all right because we don't really need to wiggle it too much. Now our next step is to put on our little blue flowers. And there she is, all completed. Now, this will need to dry for 24 hours before it can be worn or sold if it's that's what you're doing with it. But because the E6000 needs to dry thoroughly, and that takes 24 hours. Right now it's pretty immobile, and we can look for a lot of glue globs. Now if we have glue globs at this point, we can easily get them out with a pair of tweezers because they aren't set up hard, but they are hard enough that they will. Now this is where I just extra glued it there a second ago. Have to fix that some. But they will pull up because they're not set hard. Okay, we got a little stringer here and here. I don't see any actual globs though that need pulled off, just these little stringers you get sometimes. So you just get hold of those with the pliers and lightly pull them away from your piece. Now I don't really like how I have this little blue flower, so I'm going to move it a little bit up. That's better because she's still wet. She'll move easily. The other pieces are half dry, are starting to dry, so they won't move. But you can see there's a little glob of glue right here. I think this might be too fresh of glue because I think it's from the flower. Yeah, it is. But it still came up relatively easily. You'll see a glob of glue on the end of the tweezers there. So just take a paper towel and make sure you get that off right away, because if you don't take it off, it's going to harden up on your tweezers just like it would on your piece you're working on. So there we are. She's all finished. Isn't she pretty? Now remember, a hair barrette like this needs to go in steps. First step, if you're painting, paint. Let it dry. take it out to spray it with either a Krylon or a Rust-Oleum. Now technically these don't need to be sprayed. The paints are supposed to be permanent. I've never tried it. I always spray it just to be on the safe side. Then when you bring them in, you find your blank you're going to use, and then you bend your pieces to fit your blank. Once you've got your pieces bent, you start gluing them on in layers like how you wish them to go on. Now, if the bee hadn't had a nice clear-cut spot to go, I would have waited until these other 3 pieces were partially dry and I could pull the clips off prior to putting those on. But since they were had a pretty clear opening, I put the bee in. And then of course we put the 2 big flowers, and when it was dry enough to take the clips off, we put in the 2 little flowers. So as I say, this is done, just needs to dry for 24 hours. See it better without the mat and the silicone mat under it. Didn't that turn out pretty? I like this. It's very cute. And not a really hard premise or piece to put together. The biggest pieces, the biggest hardship is finding the pieces. I am always on the lookout for the little metal pieces. I either get them on eBay or Etsy, or there's a store down south of us, a couple hours, that has them. And whenever I'm down there, I'll pick up a bunch. Then the little flowers are dress-it up buttons. And the little brass piece, I believe I got off Etsy. Isn't that cute? So anyway, there is our large hair barrette, all finished, just waiting to go into the bin that I put things in while they dry. So 24-hour drying time. So this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we've been making this pretty bee hair barrette. Isn't it pretty? Like I say, paint, dry, spray with the sealer, dry, bring them in, choose your barrette blank, choose your pieces that you're going to put on if you need more than what you painted, which I used these little silver pieces, and then I got these little blue dress-it-up button embellishments. Bend the pieces to your bar, glue them down, glue on your extra pieces, wait 20 minutes, check to see if you have any glue globs. If you do, pull them off with your tweezers. Set it aside for 24 hours to dry. And then she's all done, and she's really pretty. So this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and I hope you enjoyed this.